Mapo Tofu, a food that's originated from Sichuan, China, but has been more popular in Japan and Taiwan for some reason. But you know who cooks it best? It has to be Uncle Wang Gan. So today we're going to be using some of his recipe and then adding a little twist ourselves. Start with some minced pork or beef. What's more traditional? That's still up for debate to this date. We'll start by adding in some soy sauce and sesame oil. Mix it and set it aside to marinate for around 15 minutes. So here I actually use two kinds of soy sauce. The darker soy sauce, it's for like more for coloring, and the lighter soy sauce, more for the flavor, like when you actually taste the soy sauce flavor. We'll cook some rice first. We'll let it cook while we cook the mapo tofu. Usually just 1 cup, just for myself. And while washing the rice, I think people do it quite differently. In my household, I was taught you should wash the rice until the water is very, very clear to wash out all the bad things. But some people say that, like the murkiness, there is nutrition in that. So we'll do that first, and then pop it in the rice cooker and listen to the sound of Asianness. Next, we'll start our drink for the day. I'm thinking of making a lychee Yakult green tea with mochi. This one you can like find it in bubble tea stores nowadays. Especially the mochi is getting a lot more popular as a topping inside. So to make the mochi, we need glutinous rice, sugar, and milk. Meanwhile, we'll boil some water for green tea. We'll make it ourselves as well. Recently, I actually been reading a book. It's like a novel about like time traveling in the past. But one thing that they mentioned in the book I thought was pretty interesting was that it was talking about truth. So the first of two truths is called heaven and earth are unkind. Its meaning is that everything govern our world is an unchanging objective law. In this world, as long as it conforms to the law, anything can happen. It will not shift in the slightest because of our expectations. Its calculation is like mathematics, strict, not vague or ambiguous. And knowing that, I know I messed up the mochi, as it didn't follow the law of the earth, as a glutinous rice or sticking together in clumps because of like the hot milk. So I'm going to mix it first with some cold milk and sugar before throwing it onto the pan. So let me restart that one again. So you want to keep on stirring the pot while you have the mixture inside. It's gonna turn like pretty sticky very fast. So you gotta keep on stirring. And you want to stir until it is kind of like a smooth, stretchy texture, almost like a fondue, a cheese fondue. If it actually look exactly like a cheese fondue. I mean, I love sticky white stuff, cheese fondue, mochi, something else, you know. So when you see this texture, we can scrape it out into a bowl, and we'll set it aside, put it in the fridge for the drink later. Honestly, I'll be real with you guys. I usually get bubble tea with no pearls. I know, it sounds wrong, but like bubble tea without bubbles? But honestly, sometimes I just don't feel like chewing through all of that. I just want the drink. Also, the pearl is like a whole meal. If I have pearls, it could literally last me a whole day. I remember drinking a bubble tea and not eating anything else for the rest of the day. But kind of weird, like every time I order it, I feel a little bit guilty, I'll say. Like I'm betraying the whole idea of bubble tea. It's kind of funny. Like the pearls are like what makes it iconic, but I'm here just like skipping out on them. So like, is it still bubble tea, or I think like usually I just call it like fruit tea, like not bubble tea, I guess. All right, so we're gonna start actually making our Mapo Tofu. But before we do that, let's talk about tofu. Because believe it or not, the type of tofu you pick can actually have a huge effect on this dish. So first up, we have the silken tofu, or uh, it's known as a soft tofu. This is actually my go-to tofu for this dish. It's soft and very jiggly. It's perfect for something like mapo tofu, where you want like a smooth melt in your mouth type of texture. But the only downside is that it actually might break really easily. So if you stir it in the pot quite a bit, it actually might all break into little pieces. Well, it doesn't affect the taste of the dish. It does make the presentation look not as nice as the one you'll see on the internet or like in restaurants. And then you got like the medium firm tofu. This is usually like the safe middle ground. It's like tender but sturdy enough to survive like stirring with the spatula. If you want like a good presentation, this is usually the safe bet. Also, medium tofu will soak up all the spicy numbing sauce better than soft tofu. Like, but texture-wise, it's just less smooth. And finally, you have firm tofu. My advice is, yeah, it's not it. If you want like tofu jerky kind of mapo tofu, go for it. But otherwise, I wouldn't recommend it at all. So all the ingredients you need is actually just a red chili pepper for spiciness and Sichuan peppercorn for the numbingness. The hot pot base is optional, and the green onion is for garnish in the end. And after that, we'll blanch the tofu to make its texture firmer, so it's less likely to break apart, and also it will remove the eating smell from the tofu. So after the water starts to boil for around a minute, we can drain the tofu and start preparing the meat portion of the dish. So in the pan, just heat up some oil, and then we'll throw in our ground beef and just stir it for around like 3 minutes ish until it's like golden brown ish, and we'll start adding in the peppercorn and the red chili, so the flavor and like the spicy and the numbiness will begin to come out. And afterward, we'll also stirring our hot pot base just to get the meat super flavorful. And we'll do that for around like a minute. Take out the ginger that we use to marinate the meat with, and we can begin to put in the sauces. As for the sauce portion of the dish, we'll start by putting in 1 spoonful of doubanjiao, which is a soybean paste you can find in your local Asian market. And afterwards, we'll put in some dark soy sauce for the color, and we'll add a lot more of the regular soy sauce for the flavor. Usually, it'll give you like a soy sauce, a braised, and like saltiness that comes with it. And then we'll stir fry the meat a little bit more before throwing in the tofu. And after the tofu goes in, give it a little bit stir, and then add around half bowl of water so the tofu could soak up the flavor and it'll cook. And afterwards, we'll add in some salt just to add a little bit more saltiness, and we'll also put in some sugar to balance out all the flavors. And afterwards, we'll stir it a little bit more before putting the lid onto the pan, and we'll let it sit for around 3 to 5 minutes. In Mapo Tofu, starch is actually the secret to that glossy, clingy sauce that you'll see from restaurants. You'll make a simple slurry with cornstarch and water, then stir it in the end. Without it, the sauce just runs off the tofu like water in glass. But with it, every cube gets coated in that rich, spicy flavor. Recently, I also want to experiment a little bit with drinks. I don't know if y'all ever noticed like these coffee shops popping up with very, very weird flavors. For example, like there's a cafe called To Go Cafe in Toronto. In Canada, they have orange Americano. For example, like coffee and citrus. Like it sounds really weird, right? But it actually works for some reason. Like I tried it once, it was actually not bad. But there's another one, it's like a grape bubbly Americano, which I couldn't accept at all. So I think like a lot of these shops are coming up with these like new combinations, which made me also want to experiment a little bit. But I don't think I'm as adventurous as like these coffee shops. But yeah. And finally, the tofu should be ready. So let's add in the starch. Uncle Wangang said we gotta add in starch 3 times in total. But I'm a bit too lazy, so I just did it in 2 times. And that should be it. In the end, we'll add in some green onion to garnish. I like to stir my green onions a little bit in the sauce rather than just letting it sitting on top. But that's a meal. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.